Well, the thing that is obvious to so many of us in the past has finally happened again. Bryan Kohberger wants to withdraw his plea because he's not guilty, he says. Now, unfortunately, the way the plea deal was handled originally made it so that now Bryan can say, oh, I just said I was guilty, and it was all these false inducements and false promises and blah, 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 blah. And who could have seen that problem coming? Me! And I said it a year ago. Look at this. Did anyone want to give a comment on the Bryan Kohberger plea deal? I thought it was bullshit. The act of the plea deal wasn't the bullshit. Here's the bullshit reasons, though. Number one, the defense always was going to look for a plea deal. So if it was a death penalty case that deserved it beforehand, why is it not now? The evidence didn't get any worse. The evidence is overwhelming. Number two, I cannot believe, how does that prosecutor, how do you not have him confess to where the knife is and give an explanation of the crime? How do you not have that? How does the family have to prompt you to include that? And you go, well, legally, we can't include it now. How do you not do that?
It's complicated. And I mean, as you and I have discussed, I mean, it's not going to help. People are still going to think he's innocent because people still think the earth is flat. At least we don't have to listen to that anymore. And I think that the way it was handled wasn't great, unfortunately. And this is the way it is, so.
Yeah, so there was that. So, my name's Hear Me Out. We're going to read the handwritten petition he turned into the court today. It's going to be a shorter live, but let's go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. As I said, this is going to be a short episode, but I just wanted to get it out there because I saw it and I couldn't believe it because I said this would happen. And so I went back immediately and found the stream. That was almost just over a year later, or a year earlier. But if you're new here, go ahead and hit the like button if you like what you're seeing. But besides that, I haven't even filled out the description of this video. There are playlists for all the different subjects we cover here, which is exclusively a collection of morons, just like Bryan Kohberger's a moron. All right, let's look at this chicken shit. Affidavit in facts support a post-conviction petition. That's how I imagine he talks. I don't like him looking at me down there, but whatever. Manson lamps. Bryan C. Kohberger, being first duly sworn. Sorry, I have to move the screen. Being first duly sworn on oath, deposes and says, it is hereby declared that during attorney-client discussions, most of which included all members of Bryan C. Kohberger's immediate family, petitioner was convinced to falsely confess to capital murder and felony burglary by coercion, disinformation, false promises, and the withholding of exculpatory discovery. The following is material to the inception of the plea. 1. Counsel. His handwriting is so bad. Counsel's failure to inform petitioner of exculpatory discovery received during plea discussions, namely clumps of unknown hair found in Ethan Chapin's hands, as well as failure of further inquiry. Now, what he's talking about here is there's this moron that wrote this book called Broken Plea, which, sounds like it is sane at first because this was a bad plea agreement. But he was talking about how Bryan's, he's innocent. But his own attorneys said he's talking about stuff that he doesn't understand and isn't what he thinks it is. But whatever. There's hair. So again, if there's hair in Ethan Chapin's hands, tell us who you did the murder with, Bryan. Because your DNA's there. 2. Petitioner was convinced that actual guilt was not an important factor in considering plea acceptance. What? The judge asked you, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? And you said yes. Death row was imminent and advised to lie. Petitioner was to gain a, quote, legal victory in entering a false plea. I mean, this is almost word for word what I said it was a year ago. This is why you needed him to lay out how he did the crime, where he put the knife, so that when he's now, if he had done that on the record, right? He said, okay, well, here I showed up like this, and then, I stabbed him like this, and it was because of that. And then I put the knife over here in this river and hope maybe we can find it or something. But that's a lot harder to say, oh, yeah, I made all that stuff up than, yeah, I was convinced to lie and say I was guilty. Number 3, a gross misrepresentation of and promises regarding what a life sentence would immediately afford petitioner. So apparently he's trying to say, I think here, that his lawyer said it would basically be like, a Holiday Inn. Is that what you believe, Brian? Is that what they told you? Oh, I'm so sorry. They didn't make jail sound exactly like it was going to be. Idiot. In a gross misrepresentation of death row in Idaho, including an elaborate, fabricated story. Yeah, he adds in fabricated. Story of counselor's horrific experience during an actual 8x8 death row cell, and communicated to petitioner and his family, comma, adding in here again, allegedly by IDOC, Idaho Department of Corrections, right, through counsel, thus thus constituting threats and promises made to induce a plea agreement. I think the word he actually wrote underneath there is juice. Made to juice a plea agreement, this idiot. And then he wrote it out. He crossed it out and wrote in induce. I think he actually meant it in the slang term, juice, grease the wheels for the plea deal. But you're adding fabricated and allegedly on here after the fact, Brian? And then, okay, stories of counselor's horrific experience during an actual 8x8 death row cell, all communicated to petitioner and his family, allegedly by Idaho Department of Corrections through counts. What? I don't understand. It's the counselor's story of a tour communicated to petitioner's family through the allegedly by Idaho Department of Corrections through the counselor, thus constituting threats and promises. No, that sounds like it's your own counselor. How does Idaho Department of Corrections factor into this sentence? Because it makes it sound like the Idaho Department of Corrections told the counselor about the counselor's experience, and then the counselor told the family. Whatever. I certify under penalty of perjury. Well, Brian, you already swore under penalty of perjury that you were guilty. Anywho, Brian, freaking me out. He's the creepiest face. Look at that. Yeah. Anywho, that's all I wanted to get out there to let people know. He said it in an interview with the New York Times, or he made a brief statement, and it basically said something. The lies about imprisonment were, job opportunities or some idiotic thing. What did he think he was going to do? Like day, he's going to be released and just show up at night. Rolling along, so gifted 20 Hear Me Out memberships. Thank you very much, and congratulations to those who got them. We will be going live again later tonight, 6 o'clock, for part four, the conclusion of the 7/16 Laura Owens and family bankruptcy hearing, and then that will be followed up, hopefully, by a Lauren stream. Will has amnesia. Everyone have a great day. Remember to kiss your fingers. And YouTube thinks you will like this video up here. So why don't you go ahead and click on it? And all right.